I think a lot of gardeners are guilty of having a huge seed collection. I am super guilty of this myself, and I am trying to use up what I have before buying new seeds. It's probably going to be easier said than done, especially when companies put their seeds on sale. But I think that a lot of us gardeners really need to learn to not overbuy seeds. I will say right off, for things like tomatoes and peppers, where people like to grow several different varieties, I think you get a pass on those because I think most people are good about using those seeds. And tomato and pepper seeds can last a few years with proper storage. But for other things, I know I have gotten tempted by seed sales and ended up buying so many seeds. And some of them to this day I have never sowed. And each year the germination rates can decrease. They can last a long time with proper storage, which would be out of direct sunlight with no humidity, but even then, some seeds have a short shelf life. Carrot seeds can last about 3 to 4 years, but things like onions and leeks generally last only about 1 to 2 years. And I can attest to that. I have definitely noticed this, and I do store my seeds properly. Tomato seeds typically last 4 to 6 years, but can last even longer sometimes. For example, Luke from M.I. Gardner found an old pack of tomato seeds. The variety was Giant Crimson, and the seeds were about 85 to 87 years old, and the variety had essentially been extinct. And he only got a few seeds to germinate, and he spent about 5 years working on this variety and saving seeds. And then a few years ago, he offered limited runs of the seeds, and I did get my hands on some. And while I decided not to grow it every year, I still love the story behind it. Okay, so back to not hoarding seeds. For me, I wanted every color of nasturtium and every variety of sunflower available and more. And like I said, during some seed sales, I may have gone a little overboard and even bought seeds for things I had never heard of or didn't think to grow from seed before, which is fine. Trying to grow new things is great, but I didn't have any plans for them. And some of these seed packets I have had for a few years now. So whether these seeds are still viable or not is unknown. But if nothing germinates when or if I do get around to sowing them, then I wasted my money because I waited too long to sow these seeds. Plus, these seed sales usually happen at the end of seed starting seasons or towards the end of the year. And seed companies will say that seeds are packed for a certain year. So it's not an expiration date, but they are also not going to sell seeds with seed pack dates that are past the date on the seed packets because they want customers to have the most current seeds available at the time of purchase. Even when I end up sowing seeds that I buy, sometimes I end up not having anywhere to plant the seedlings, so they kind of just get forgotten about or never get potted up. So either they end up dying or they get stunted in their little containers, or I end up with a surplus of seedlings sitting around. And here is a prime example of that. This is a little section of plants all started from seed, but I really didn't have a plan of where to put them. Some of these are perennials, and even though you can dig things up and transplant them elsewhere, I prefer to not disturb root systems. So I've been very picky about where these will go, and I just can't seem to find a good permanent spot for them, but they're just hanging out here, struggling a little bit, and waiting to be transplanted somewhere. And over here in my hydroponic systems, I sowed some seeds in them, and the seedlings have been waiting to get potted up and transplanted, and they likely never will at this point. And I mean, I started a melon seed in one of the units, and I didn't have a plan for it, so I have this melon vine just growing in the corner of my dining room, and I wanted to remove it and transplant it outside, but I just never got around to it because whenever I thought about it, there was nowhere for it to go. But because I had the seeds, I felt obligated to sow at least one seed and was hoping I would figure it out at some point, but I probably shouldn't have bought the seeds at all without a game plan in place first. Another thing to look out for or not be tempted by when it comes to end of season seed sales are seeds that have been sitting outside in the sun. Because, as I mentioned earlier, proper seed storage is out of direct sunlight with no humidity. This seed display is at a grocery store, and sure, these seeds are on sale, so it's tempting to pick some up, but the color on these seed packets are faded from the sun, and some even look like they may have gotten wet when plants nearby were being watered. And because this is at a grocery store, I wouldn't expect the employees to know that the seeds shouldn't be out front like this, where the sun beats down on them. These seeds are probably no longer viable, or their germination rates have probably gone down significantly. So, if you were to buy a bunch of these seed packets because they are on sale, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, if you have friends or family you can swap seeds with, I think that is great because depending on the plant, you may not ever need all of the seeds in a packet, and your friends and family may end up saving seeds from their gardens and have an abundance of them. So, sharing seeds with them can be a great way to diversify your varieties and to save money. And I definitely have friends that I regularly swap seeds with, and chances are, if I am looking for something, someone I know has seeds they can share with me. And my dad and I discuss with each other any new varieties we want to try out, so we don't buy duplicate packs of seeds, and then we can just share them instead. And if you don't have anyone you can swap seeds with, check out your local library because many have seed libraries where people can leave and take seeds as needed. I know that those seed sales can be tempting, but you may end up buying a bunch of seeds you don't need or may not end up growing, which is a waste of money. And there are ways you can get what you need for free. But even if you have to buy seeds, while getting them on sale is great, you'll save more money in the long run by getting only what you need and know you will grow.